I expect them to, because Rogue Warriors banning out the Ashe is saying, hey, we dare you to leave this open.
Yeah, especially when you see like an Ashe ban that you don't normally see here in the LPL. You've already got 180 carry off the board. You're talking about the rising of the FLICR now as an S+ tier in 10-14. Has been a must ban for many teams. And the Zoe instead, they're happy to leave it open for Jung Wooji. He hasn't played that much FLICR. Ashe is his main pick. But instead they say, Haro, you're our man player, take this.
That's what's really surprising, right, is Jung Wooji's most played champion is Ashe, and they banned it out on blue side. If they were going to try and force the AD carry trade, you think, okay, leave it open. eStar can take the FLICR, so you get the Ashe yourselves. But no, instead going towards the Graves, which when we've highlighted Haro as the standout on this roster, and the Nidalee's already been banned, it does make a bit of sense. But yeah. I wonder if eStar actually don't even go towards the FLICRs, because in their series with Rat, they banned it 2 games against OMG on blue side.
They did, and he played the Ashe. He also played the center, so we haven't seen him from it just yet. As Irma says, my debut game will be on the Galio. Of course, Xiaoxi plays this as well, so technically a flex. A lot of picks that we will have to talk about with eStar, because they do flex around quite a different couple of champions through their pools.
I would expect eStar just to... Ooh, I was going to say, I was expecting maybe just a Lee Sin, don't show anything, just go jungle for jungle. But already setting up for a comp that's going to have a ton of engage, going to have good setup for that Galio with a Fate's Call from the Kalista. And we know eStar now are going to go more of this 5v5 teamfight route. For the side of Rogue Warriors, the Galio taken away, no Zoe. We've only seen Wuming play Karma, Renekton, and Azir as well.
This is going to be interesting. No FLICRs. People are cheering at the moment in such a strong AD carry. Jung Wooji has such a wide pool. As I said, it's at the bottom of that. And the Varus is something he loved in spring. The on-hit Varus, of course.
He also did play it both games against FTX. So Rogue Warriors have shown, hey, this might not be the S+ tier it used to be, but we're still fine putting Jung Wooji on it. It still has a fine laning phase. We've still seen some people go towards the poke route. Of course, Jackie Love did it in their game against Vici, but of course you would expect the on-hit build to come out for him, and pairing it with the Nautilus, just going to put some threat on that Kalista in the bot lane.
Blaze Comfort Champion of 2020 Spring, and facilitates his playstyle. All right, Lyric, eStar, you talked about jungle before.
I was just going to say, you just go Leona here. I don't think you risk it getting banned out. You're setting up for this comp that wants to go in, that wants to engage it, wants these big wombo combo team fights. They've already locked in the Nautilus himself, so why not take the Leona? You hook the Leona, she's tankier than you, she wins. Very simple.
Such a devilish smile from Xiaoxi as well, so happy about picking that one up. Now, junglers to take off the board for Rogue Warriors, while you've got yourself some solo laners to pick up.
Yeah, for Rogue Warriors, I think you ban out Lee Sin. We've seen ways. 2 standouts have been Graves, Lee Sin. He's also played a lot of Echo, but Echo, Galio doesn't sound like a very good combo. Not a strong 2v2. Both of you bring magic damage. And beyond that, right, what can Wei really pick up? Maybe you go an early game champion like the Rek'Sai, not something that's really too good into Graves itself. Sure. We've seen Trundle plus Galio, but I'm not a fan.
Just remember that Wei's best champion in spring was the Jarvan as well.
And there it is. Okay. So there you go. There, expand out the Jarvan. You would expect the Lee Sin to come next. And then I honestly don't know where Wei goes.
Right. So you're essentially saying which way?
yeah, which way? And fantastic. For eStar here, again, the fact that Wuming's champion pool is still very unknown from what he's willing to play in the LPL is going to be interesting to see where he goes. He can just go towards that Karma himself. Yeah. You and Galio are pretty much both going to ignore each other in the mid lane. Going to be trading back waves, clearing. You already have the Graves you can set up in these massive team fights. You have a ton of CC down in the bot lane too. So we know the stars of this comp are meant to be Haro and Jung Wooji.
So now, final bans. Rogue Warriors, talking about jungle pool quite a lot. You want to see the league on? Oh. And Olafin said, okay, so among the same paths, happy to leave the league open.
Yeah, and I want to see if that is what he locks in here. The only other thing I can realistically imagine is the Rek'Sai. We haven't seen Wei pull out many other diverse champions that feel like they fit their comp too well.
One game of Kindred so far in summer.
Yeah, and it feels like your comp's then going 2 different ways, where Kindred, of course, definitely wants more time to play out these mid-late game teamfights, going double AD carry as compared to Kalista, who's all about these early skirmishes. Yeah. You're all-inning on having this peel for a Kalista, which already sounds a bit weird, but at least your objective setup for Dragons and Barons can be really strong, having a DPS marksman jungle as well as the Kalista with the red.
I guess drawing people in could be beneficial. eStar have another pick to round us out and tell us what they're doing, but We need mid laners, we need solo laners.
If he, I was going to say, if he plays the Azir, I feel like Azir would be great here. Because you have the Galio, going to be easy to the ultimate lane. Kindred, you can push everyone out of her ultimate, but instead, we see Wuming going towards the Orianna. You have a bit of ball delivery in the Nautilus, but I mean, both teams right now are saying, hey, we want to go for these massive team fights.
Yeah.
Rogue Warriors, I do expect them to round it out with the Ornn, and I mean, that's just, you know, the cherry on top.
Yeah, there you go. Build up your front line. Easy to execute from Rogue Warriors, or easier, I should say. I'm curious to see what Jung Wooji does. We've seen a lot of the on-hit viruses we talked about, but transitioning over to eStar, with this Kindred, the Kennen would lay it down.
This is much more Xiaobai, though. Again, he's
Yeah.
4 main champions, Ornn, Wukong, Volibear, and Mordekaiser. We've talked about Mordekaiser many times as well against compositions that really want to come into him. You pull someone into the death realm, very easy to deal with, but honestly, eStar's comp to me sends a lot of mixed messages, right? You have Essence of Protection and Peel that want to kite out. You have, obviously, this massive bot side that can go in. And I don't really know how I feel about it. So where Rogue Warriors comp is very simple, very easy to see, right? They want to take these fights around the, especially 3-item power spike. They're going to do extremely well in front-to-back team fights. Holder's going to come in, find that massive engage. And to me, it feels like for eStar, it's about them either getting an early advantage through bot lane and trying to snowball that around the map with your global mid laner, or once we do get to the extremely, like, late game parts of the game, kiting out that initial engage, using the Kindred ultimate to buy time and then re-engaging, but it sounded very convoluted when I explained it, because I feel like it's just as convoluted execution-wise.
I mean, eStar, like, this is not a comp we've realistically seen before from them. We know that for eStar, they were very straightforward. They were very telegraphed in spring, and even towards summer, we've seen the same thing when it was Fun on that roster. But running a new mid laner, even though, you know, Fun was a Galio player as well, it just feels like, feels interesting. What else do you say? I don't know.
The thing that I like about this is they were trying to put Fun in this role of being a facilitator, playing these more do-and-be style champions that we do credit him with now, to where it was never really a style back in the day, right? We always associate him with the Tristana last year, with things like the Zoe, the Syndra, the Corkis.
We got a general gyro, ladies and gentlemen. All right, you know what? Because Rogue Warriors at eStar facing off at 3 and 8 apiece means, I'm not sure what's going to happen in this one, but Lyrics told you everything about the comps. We see Rogue Warriors, we see, okay. Would you just say easy to execute just because of the simplicity of the composition?
Yes.
Good.
I mean, again, as a very straightforward identity, I think all the viewers at home are looking to saying, okay, I know what this needs to do. I know when it's extremely strong. They can take a very slow early game. They can look for counter ganks around bot, because that's obviously where eStar do want to play, and then just buy time for your comp to get to the massive item points it needs. It does feel like eStar are the ones who need to push the tempo of the game forward, especially obviously at that level 6 point. Right now, we're just in a meta where, since we have so many globals and hard lockdown ultimates in the meta, it really feels like level 6 is the point where the game starts coming online.
Yeah, especially since here in this region, when we see so much Galio, it's super easy to state that, well, at 6, everything kind of blows up. But here in game 1, Rogue Warriors on that win streak, and eStar coming off the win against OMG. So higher expectations than we would have had otherwise. And you said Rogue Warriors are going to Worlds. No, sorry, playoffs.
I did not say they're going to Worlds.
Playoffs?
Please calm down.
But you did say playoffs.
Yep, and we do see, of course, we mentioned Jung Wooji going to go towards that on-hit Varus.
Okay, Zenith played in the backline onto Jung Wooji. Remember, this is on-hit Varus with the lethality, as you just stated. So some good trades back. Rat moves forward, the new 80 carry of eStar.
And let's also remind people that Varus did get hit once again this patch. His E base damage got nerfed, so we just saw him use the E. Is a bit weaker now. And also the Q, the maximum hold of the Q, the bonus damage has been reduced as well. So obviously going to hurt his early laning phase quite a bit.
But it is nice to see that Varus isn't like perma banned or picked anymore. It's, you know, people think about it. People think about what he's going to do in the game, as Wuming just says goodnight. But nice to see on-hit Varus again. You remember that clip from Hope in spring, which made him look like an absolute god that was on the Varus. It's in some pretty big highlights.
I like it too because it's such a fun clip to watch. It's super hype, but a lot of people do point out he's just right clicking, he's just auto attacking. It's like, yeah, but he's an AD carry, that's his job.
It's super satisfying when you're on hit virus as well. The auto attack animations, I think, one of the cleanest in League of Legends. As Wei heading towards the top side here, Lyric. He's cleared out his bottom side camp, level 3 in the Kindred. I believe he actually started at red and then moved down, moving back up as we speak, while Haro is in the top side himself. So you talked about the level 6s of eStar, especially Haro, of course, Graves with a bit of power.
I was just wondering, since Wei's pathing topside, but both of Rogue Warriors Soul Laners have the ability to push early if he was going to go and actually try to contest that topside scuttle. With Xiaoxi moving up as well, I kind of expected it, but we do see Wei heading back down. Of course, eStar's bot lane is their pressure point, so it's also nice. That's where the Kindred mark spawned as well.
Very lucky. There's Haro up
Maybe,
here now.
I guess that's what they were doing, right? They were having Xiaoxi roam up just in case, and had it spawned topside, like the mark, they would have contested, but since it went bot, okay, we just see Wei make his way back down. Now going to put some pressure on mid.
Raptors aren't there. But bot, you mentioned, here he comes, level 4. Xiaoxi is only level 2.
And this is where we expect eStar to put their pressure. Obviously not much they can do right now unless Rogue Warriors bot lane overextends. Rogue Warriors bot lane has no reason to overextend. I honestly think they have a fine time just playing close to their tower and wait to 6, wait for eStar to try to set up this dive, which is what I think they'll go for. They're going to go push in mid lane and then look for this play on bot. Just make sure Haro can react at the right time. Wooming will already be preemptively hovering over. And then go toe-to-toe with eStar there, and then you feel fine just scaling up and getting your items.
In terms of how hard it is to dive to Rogue Warriors bottom lane, though, like, Zhongwuji and Lei have a lot of disengaged tools and ability to outplay. It does feel crucial that Wei's ultimate is the defining factor if we see that in place as well.
Yep. And again, Irma being able to follow up will also be massive.
Yep.
And right now, it is just a bit of a slower pace. First Dragon comes up in 20 seconds. You would expect eStar to be the one to get that. We already talked about double marksman. They have the Callisto Ren to show through as well. They have bot lane pressure. We already see Wei moving down, so maybe they just take it here on spawn.
With Irma spotting out the control ward, clearing that away. Wooming's going to be backing as well without TP, so yeah, absolutely. Straight at 5 minutes here.
Okay, just looking for a trade. With Haro in the background, I don't know if they were going to look for any early shenanigans. If you're Rogue Warriors, you can assume that Wei is on Dragon right now. I wonder if they want to take advantage of this by looking for a play on bot, but no, showing the ward, so Haro revealing his position.
But you got no mid laner for Rogue Warriors. And Irma just going to help us out with the Winds of War. So Mountain to start the game off. eStar quickly taking advantage with Ocean coming up next. And back to the jungle for a quick clear.
But that's great. We said eStar need to be the ones accelerating the pace of the game, so taking Dragon right off spawn, trying to get to a point where we get an extremely early Soul and Elder, does feel like it's in the cards for the side of eStar.
And I also want to point out while we see the mid lane farm fest going on here that we've got a 10 CS lead, soon to be about 5 for Irma on the Galio. He's now hit level 6, so doing well in his debut game in the LPL. Also, speaking of doing well, eStar will spot out Haro here, so some great vision control to track the enemy jungler.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a fine matchup for Galio, right? The first 3 levels, of course, Orianna can do well because Galio doesn't have his full combo yet, but once we get to that point, Galio can pretty much just ignore the Orianna. If she ever takes a step too far forward, he eases in, hits off the taunt, throws down the Q in the passive, wins down the trade, walks away.
Alright, Wei's a Kindred, so he's fine here, but cutting it a little bit close as Haro gets the Scuttle Crab topside. Bit of a CS lead here for Haro in the jungle as well, but he has just cleared out absolutely everything and is heading back. And Haro on Graves. Do you remember the last time you and I cast Haro Graves with FaZe Rush? Remember the 7-1 performance? I think it was 10-1 actually by the end of it.
Do you remember who it was against?
I do not. I do not know context.
Yeah.
I never
For those
do.
of you out there, we obviously watch a lot of LPL games.
So I have an excuse. There is a lot of games. I mean, there's already been, I think, 200 and something individual LPL games to split, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, might be more.
Can you imagine that like, you could be an LCS or LEC team and you play 2 games in a weekend? You could be a team like IG who have already played, what is it, 13 series? Yep, they played 13 series. So they've played
like 30,
they played
40 games.
I was going to say they've probably played like triple the average LCS team right now.
And they've still got more to play. It's insane. And if we ever expand in the future, means more teams, means more games.
Yeah, and for those of you who don't remember, when the LPL franchising was announced, it was announced their goal was 20 teams.
Yeah. I look forward to that. Can you imagine? Okay, Shockwave is available that Wooming wants to use, but nothing really happens. He didn't jump in front of it.
I mean, we didn't expect anything. This is Orianna Graves. This is not a strong 2v2. Orianna in the early game isn't one of our really 2v2 oriented champions. She does fine in the isolated 1v1 because of her range. Her passive as well works very well for that, but not a 2v2 jungler by any means. Maybe if you're paired with something like a Jarvan, you can pull it off, but...
Hey, you know what was sick? That was a steal from Wei. He took the blue buff away from Wooming. I'd be crying if I was Wooming. Just lost the blue buff. And with tempo being accelerated, Wei then goes straight towards the Rift Herald to start up. He's doing these objectives on spawn.
Yeah, and this is what he needs to do. This is what we expected for him to do. I'm surprised no member of Rogue Warriors feels like they can come in, you know, posture, maybe force eStar bot lane to roam so you can give Jung Wooji and Lei a bit of room to push that lane in, but nope. eStar just going to pick this one up for free.
Well, hang on. Here's the roaming. Wooming's going to pull him in. Dredgeline as well. Fate's call. Okay, that's it. Good night. That was very easy.
Yeah, it was, and now Wooming extremely low on mana.
And a tower plating for Irma, leaving the lane.
I mean, right now this is going all the way of eStar. With Irma right now level 8, I do expect us to start looking towards bots soon. We see a ping come out on top side, so maybe Wade looks for a gank right now. I don't feel like it'll really change the map state unless he actually opts into dropping the Herald. Okay. Which it definitely feels like, you know, putting the gold on Mordekaiser, I don't feel like it does too much. You definitely want that on Rat.
Hang on, Zephyr on top side though, the flash because Way's inbound and even under the turret, Lamb's Respite will pull him in. Holder against the wall, last minute, spots the Kindred. eStar with first blood and it's underway.
And this is great, right? Getting the kill onto your Kindred can allow Wei to get more items. Even within the team itself, Wei is more of a carry. I'm glad they realized, hey, we have no reason to drop the Herald right now. The turret still has, you know, full plates, full HP. Let's look for a play elsewhere.
You know what the unlucky part was that Wei changed the mark too late and didn't get a stack. So, still a kill's nice with Warriors.
Yep, and now we do see pretty much everyone coming back out onto the map. Both AD carries having Cutlass. Wei heading down because that's where all of his camps are.
We're going to fight for Dragon though, aren't we?
I wouldn't like to see Rogue Warriors fight for Dragon.
Well, Rogue Warriors do fight, and Lei's going to get locked down with the Solar Flare. Ignite as well, and you know what? Wei just picked up a kill as Lei running away, and that rhymes for some reason. Hero's entrance into the side as that teleport from Older almost cost him his life, but Xiaobai doesn't have ulti himself. Call the Forge got down the line, and the Rogue Warriors don't back down, remember. eStar walking into the choke.
And that was amazing for Rogue Warriors just because of where Xiaobai TP'd. Xiaobai TPing way too far for anyone to follow up. Also, they were positioned in a choke, so if any member did walk through, he'd be taking all that free damage from Haro, Wooming, and Zhong Wuji. So, overall, nice force from Rogue Warriors, despite I don't think it should have gone as heavily in their favor as it just did. Bit of a slip up by Xiaobai.
But there you go. There's your fight that you're waiting for. Are Rogue Warriors going to contest? Well, yes, they are. Ocean goes in their back pocket with a Cloud Rift.
Yeah, let's take a look at this again because it is Lei getting caught out, killing Vision. Look at where Wooming is on the map. He's nowhere near following up, and of course, eStar of a Galio, so he can be here in an instant. We see them funnel into killing Holder,
no.
But yeah, that was unfortunate. The position Xiaobai comes in, he actually has no way of getting out. He doesn't have flash. And then very easy for Rogue Warriors to find that kill in that choke point with Call of the Forge God.
He does still have a gold lead after that, but it has been narrowed down as to what it was with first blood taken in the objectives. While Haro now going for bottom side onto Rat, but Chelsea's making his way in. Boots of Swiftness gives him that momentum. With Haro into melee range, but Irma's behind him, Wooming very closely there as a second flashes away from the Shockwave. Shockwave, not the biggest cooldown, so that's worth.
And this is why it's been so nice to see Wooming come into the roster, because that was just such a decisive play, right? There was no hesitation. He walked up and he said, okay, I'm going to use the Shockwave. I'm going to force out a flash or get a kill. He just pulls the trigger instantly.
Meanwhile, Wei on the other side of the map is trying to find something, and it could be under Wooming who just used that ultimate.
Yep, and once again, Kindred herself, also not a very strong 2v2 champion, but when you have a Galio, Galio is the king of mid lane 2v2s.
Thinking about it, shielded around there, but Wei not committing. Nor is Wooming going to follow.
So just setting up for Wei to counter jungle and take some camps away. We do see Holder sitting under turret, so obviously is a bit scared of a potential dive, but we see Haro pathing up, so realistically nothing going to happen. Good read by Haro as well.
Has been trying to read Wei this whole game. Herald down mid. And there was already a bit of gold here on Irma, but this should be extended as Lei's coming in to counter-engage, but helps clear out the Herald.
And Wei picking up all that gold for himself is
True.
quite nice. And obviously, eStar setting up Wei to be that big carry. Obviously, very cognizant of the fact that he has been the big star of this team. He's the one performing quite well. And if eStar are going to pick up a win, it's going to be off great performances by him. Of course, against OMG, he did pick up both MVPs in that series. And it's great to see him pushing the pace of this game once again.
And narrowing it down to the comp you talked about where it's looking different directions. Well, one of the big directions is about Wei, right? With Kindred picking up those 3 items and then building herself off of that.
Especially getting all those marks, right? Such a crucial part of Kindred's kit. So if Kindred can be the one to snowball, that will be your way of kind of fighting back, going toe-to-toe in the mid and late game.
Already got a Phage in his back pocket as well. I don't know why, but I've been turning into a New Zealander the past couple of weeks. Or maybe not. Maybe something else.
I mean, what qualifies, you know, a New Zealander?
Fush.
Fush?
Fush.
What's fush?
Fish.
Oh.
I think it's cool. I think it's a cool accent. What? Fush and chops.
I mean, I remember in rehearsal, it sounded like you were saying Urama to me, and you're just like, oh, sorry, bro, that's my Australian showing through.
Yeah. I hope no one's offended. I apologize. I hope no one's look. I love New Zealand. Let's be honest. If anyone hasn't been to Queenstown, what a beautiful place on earth.
I do want to say, I don't know if this will offend any Australians, but every Australian I've ever met has told me that Australia is just the worst New Zealand. That's coming from Australians. That's what surprises me.
Hey, we're down-to-earth people that can admit our faults, and New Zealand is just better. In certain aspects.
Yeah.
Our meat pies are better. But anyway,
in certain aspects, we talked about that this was the play we expected to see from eStar at some point, right? Hovering down towards bot lane. We even saw Irma on the map was down there in Pixie Brush as well, just making sure they can get that turret. And Rogue Warriors still very conscious that they don't want to take any fights right now and trying to trade for the top half of the map. With Xiaoxi and Rat still on bot side, you would expect them to pick up that Rift Herald with no problem.
Yeah, okay. Being solid down while mid pressure comes through. Wei going to be spotted over ward. Xiaoxi moving in as well. Lei has ulti and is over the wall with flash almost up and available, but is he going to back? No. Spotted out by a ward that he knows they're in the brush. The shockwave available. Chains of Corruption lands onto Wei, but where is the follow-up? Rogue Warriors needed to pick a direction as Xiaoxi gets burnt on down with the Fate's Call to save his life. Hero's entrance as well. Shockwave onto 2. You talk about Holder. Haro's here as well, but they get Lei. Xiaoxi survives long enough yet again. A 1-for-1 with Haro now in the mix, but Rogue Warriors end it there.
Yep, extremely close. We do see Holder right there on the top of our screens. If he had gotten here, he has the Call of the Forge God available. Could have been a completely different fight, but still, at least Rogue Warriors is going to be able to get some damage down onto this mid turret.
eStar's still posturing though on the side. Looks like they will just try and stop the Herald from getting that inner charge and Rat clearing away.
You have no ultimates. Holder, is here.
Yep.
Realistically, you'd have no way of looking for this objective. And I like this. Rogue Warriors are just transitioning into Dragon. Xiaobai almost has TP up.
And we also need to take fact of with Wei over this wing that Zhongwuji's very large with Blade of the Ruined King. I'll talk about that in a second because Wei wants to steal but won't find it. It is secured by Holder, but he's in the midst of 3. Wei with the solo and Lamb's Respite. Feeling confident at half health. Zhongwuji backing away with Xiaobai TPing in. Flash over the wall from Haro with the Shield of Duran threatening, and eStar will threaten a bit of flash, but burn and engage.
Exactly. So you get Dragon, you burn a TP, and you lose a flash. Overall, I think that's massively worth for the side of Rogue Warriors. Does look like this tower could potentially go down. We see Zhongwuji is here to answer. Had eStar wanted to commit more members to mid lane, I feel like they could have dropped this one, but at the same time, right, we see how these two compositions are going toe-to-toe. We're going to keep coming back in front of these dragons. We're going to keep coming back eventually in front of a Baron, and this game's definitely going to be one of those where we're not going to see it decided in a side lane. We're not going to see it decided by sieges. It's going to come down to some massive team fight.
Most likely in front of that objective, right, when we consider how quickly otherwise these teams do it. You've got an on-hit Varus with the Graves. And of course, an Orianna will help with that. But eStar have got themselves a Callista, a Kindred. So both reasonably quick at taking down the Purple Worm. I want everyone to note as well, it's 17 minutes in the game. eStar still have that gold lead, but it hasn't been exploring anywhere past the 2K mark.
And it's what we'd expect, right? We said, hey, this comp has the tools to get ahead early. We want to see them get ahead early. They did that. Now it's about how do they push the game forward?
Yeah.
I think they should be able to push down at least the outer turrets by, you know, send your bot lane mid with Wei. You can get pressure, hover towards top side, take that one down. Then use Irma's global pressure from a side lane to try to take mid, but...
Or you could just try and get Irma to get a solo kill, or at least get close to.
My problem is past that point of what I just explained. I don't know how you break down inner turrets as this comp of eStar.
Okay.
Very short range as well, right? They have a Kalista and a Kindred.
Hang on, Cleanse has been used. Irma's doing really well here against Wooming, but TP's channeling in. Wooming has himself the ultimate available. Irma flashes immediately underneath turret. He dodges away from the Ornn. And a close call, but Rogue Warriors now grouped as 5 top.
I'm sorry I brushed off your comment of the Irma solo kill. Coming
okay.
Extremely close.
I didn't expect it as well. I thought I was stupid for saying it, to be quite honest. But hey, if you break down inner turrets by drawing Rogue Warriors as a 5-man unit, that works.
Yeah, Holder walking all the way up there. I don't know if he actually uses TP. His TP did just go on cooldown, so...
I believe he did. He did. He TP'd in the middle of the wave. So, okay, Xiaobai just picks up a turret by battening his mace against it. Remember, he's got Nash's tooth, so he did it pretty quick.
Exactly, going that more kind of 1v1 route in the Death Realm. So, very interesting. You know, if Munchables was here, we would go with the signature catchphrase if we take those. Great job by Xiaobai.
All right, well, sorry, I don't have a signature catchphrase.
Yes, you do. It's, what is it?
Bye for now, but not forever.
There we go.
That's not really game-related, is it?
I mean, it could be. You could use that when somebody gets aced or something like that. It could be very toxic.
You think it's toxic?
I said it could be. Has the potential.
Okay, well, you know me. Rogue Warriors, after losing that inner turret, moving towards 3k gold behind. I have to say, for eStar, there is this semblance of control this game, which is quite nice.
Yeah, it's been really good to see so
What
far.
I wanted to see, right?
And now we see Wooming in a side lane. And, right, this is not where you want to be as an Orianna. You aren't mobile. You have no way of getting away if eStar do bring it down way. Or even Irma, right? Irma just has to hover a bit behind. We could see Xiaobai pull you into the Death Realm, hold you there, and then Irma can quickly follow up with this Gallia ultimate. We actually even see them, looks like potentially looking for this play. Great job by Wooming to back out and realize, hey, we can't go for anything like this.
It's also because of the vision set down by Rogue Warriors. The deep wards on a Galio kind of neuters his potential, doesn't it? To use that word. You don't think that was that the right word to use?
Yeah.
I mean, he's a statue, so he doesn't...
I just like how our daily conversations come into the chat.
Obviously, one of our friends slash colleagues had their cat neutered recently.
Yep. Just heard about that today. And,
yep.
You know, glad for you to come share the fun, or
hey,
I guess
the news.
Yeah, the
big news. Wooming. Big news to get caught out. He flashes, and with shielded Duran, wins the war. Shockwave doesn't come in, and Wave picks up yet another kill.
Yeah, and that was just great overall coming out from eStar, ignoring the wave bot. So if you're Rogue Warriors, you wouldn't expect him to be there. Like, look where the wave is. We just saw Irma walk to it. Great job setting up that pick on the side of eStar.
Now, with a priority towards mid with Rat pushing the wave out. And remember, we're playing towards the Cloud Dragon and a Solar Flare as Xiaoxi locks down Lei with response. Wei spots out. And now we're back towards that Dragon with Rogue Warriors needing to push into the river.
Yeah, that was a bit too trigger happy, but still, I guess you can understand what they were going for. They're obviously going to have full control over this Drake because Wooming just spawned.
And a TP, remember, so.
The great thing for Rogue Warriors, right, is they've already taken two themselves. So this could have been the potential to be Soul had eStar been able to keep that snowball going. But especially that first fight where Xiaobai TP'd in really set behind the tempo for eStar. But as you pointed out many times, they are still winning 3k gold.
Yep.
You don't feel terrible if you're eStar right now. You have the advantage you want.
Definitely don't. You got a 2-item Mordekaiser, almost as on his Hourglass for the second item for Irma. Again, debut game. I'll keep harping on that because so far he's been very controlled and a stable point for eStar. Feels pretty damn good. As we've got a Renan's Hurricane on Rat as well. So those two items on a composition that you wanted to see with momentum and a bit of tempo means that... Arrow, okay. Means that we could be looking at a much better fight for eStar in the near-distant future.
Yeah, this really feels like where eStar's comp is going to come online extremely hard. The Leandri's coming out for Xiaobai. We've already talked about Runon's coming out for Rad as well. Wei's been sitting on that Black Cleaver, so they would love for this massive team fight to break out right now. We already saw Xiaoxi kind of try to set up for a pick in the mid lane with the ultimate, but potentially could try to bait something like a Baron because you do have the Kalista and force that fight out.
Especially when you consider, I mean, Zhongwuji went for the QSS, so a bit of a delayed second item.
Yep, so that is the natural counter of a Mordekaiser or Malzahar being on the map, debuffing the enemy team, forcing them to put some gold into a QSS.
Both junglers keep hitting this Baron thinking about it.
I don't know if Haru's actually thought about doing the bear at this game. I don't know, though, actually. You know.
Hey, you never know with Haru.
That is true.
He's,
Haru, a guy with some really cool tattoos.
Yeah.
Has like a, I mean, it's kind of like generic.
Yeah.
Not to be insulting, but it's like a rose and a knife. It's very traditional style. It's pretty cool, though. I think his birthday was the other day. I'm not positive, though.
You want to say happy birthday to him?
You know, even if it's not, happy birthday, Haru.
Even if
3
it's
series
not.
win streak. It is your birthday.
It's your birthday. He's got a Youmuu's Ghostblade this game as a Graves.
Yeah, that's so I mean, he's clearly saying, hey, my role is to get in there and just completely burst down the Callista, but
Yeah,
I mean, they have a lot of self-peel as well.
Whoa, and Rat confidence against Wei versus 2. Wei comes in, and with the Ignite, eStar playing some Rogue Warriors textbook.
And this is what we just said, Hysterics. This is the point where eStar's comp is way stronger than what Rogue Warriors have drafted. You pointed out the QSS for Zhong Wuji going down immediately.
That's a good sign of life from eStar.
Yeah, and now just going to control the enemy jungle, pick up this red, deny Haru any more farm to coming into this game.
And you know what? Just, sorry to interrupt you. Seeing Wei in control gives me flashbacks to 2020 spring, right? That's what feels to be lacking in the 2020 summer version of eStar is. Irma, is he caught out? Flashes away, does get the Nimbus cloak, so he's out. But we'll have to burn his summoner. And coming back to my point, seeing Wei with a lead in the jungle with 3 kills and the carry potential is a very good sign.
Since the second half of the split, he really has just come back online, been the clear standout for this roster. Even with people like Xiaoxi having a dip, I don't ever think Wink was a superstar. He just had a lot of people playing around him, but even he fell off a little bit. Xiaobai obviously gets no attention at all. He sticks to his 4 champions every game. Wei needs to be the one to step up, and especially with this one where we came on a draft saying, you know, what is this? How does this go together? What is the unified goal of this composition? And for them to pull it off quite well has been nice to see.
Especially when, you know, so many different directions you're talking about. We're 24 minutes into the game. You mentioned how they spike hard at these items coming across the board. Wei's almost towards his 3rd. There's a QSS on Rat now as well. We're even heading towards the 3rd item for Xiaobai, who already does quite a bit of work, especially up against Holder.
And we said, this comp also does extremely well in front of Baron.
Yep.
You have Callista, you have the Kindred. This is why we see Rogue Warriors continuously hovering around the Baron, because they know, hey, if any second we walk away, even for an instant, eStar have great potential to just burn this objective down.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a pause. And Rogue Warriors are saying, we need time to think. No, of course, there is a tech issue on stage. We'll find out what that is. I'm going to wait for the camera, because usually, I think, well, who is it? Cameraman's like, who is it? Who are we looking for?
Yeah, both teams extremely focused right now. Of course, Rogue Warriors, since they are behind in gold, they are behind in tempo. They did elect to go that way with their draft.
Yep.
But always feeling a bit of pressure when you are on the back foot. And even we saw right there, right, where when one of their bot laners go down, it's very hard for them to find picks and make plays because we said in the early game, Graves Orianna is not this type of duo that's going to go to a side lane and find a pick. You have no CC between the two of you.
Yep.
Even though Wooming's starting to come online now, finally, still isn't quite there. Any mid-game pick potential or fight potential is all based around their bot lane. That is where all their CC's at. You know, of course, other than Holder, but very hard for Holder to just walk around the map whenever he pleases. Though he's kind of been doing that this game, actually.
Yeah, really true. I've just been told in my ear, Rat has an in-game issue on eStar, so you can see Tech behind him just standing, and let's reboot. This keyboard's at a very weird angle.
Wait, was it the slanted one?
Yeah.
So it's like the CS players?
Like the CS players.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen them play at like 90 degrees.
Yeah, it was really interesting because, you know, back on Flamingo, BRTT comes from CS, so he plays League like that. He's the keyboard slant from CS. Yeah, it was really interesting to see.
Did they give reasoning behind why? Because I've never actually asked.
There is. I can't remember what it is, though. Okay. There's a reason they all do it for sure.
Because I've tried it when playing, you know, my budget level of CS, but it doesn't make a difference. I just go, well, my wrist hurts.
I mean,
is there any other game where people will play with like a slanted keyboard? Like
I assume
StarCraft
it's
players
an FPS thing in general.
Okay.
assume it's an FB.
Because I've seen someone play StarCraft with their feet, and that's I think that's a very famous video by now.
Though I played a lot of StarCraft and RTS in general myself, I never got big into it competitive-wise.
Okay.
I did start watching a little bit whenever people tell me, dude, you got to go watch Tasteless and Artosis cast.
Oh, yeah.
So that's when I watched a bit, but so not quite sure how their keyboard setup is.
See, I used to play Warcraft 3, but it was never any good.
We talked about this.
Yeah,
the remaster.
I was more of like a Battle.net kind of guy.
Same. I liked both. Actually, I would play on the latter sometimes. I love the campaign mode. Obviously, that was like a big selling point.
Oh, yeah.
On Battle.net all the time.
So you're saying you played Remastered. Is it not good?
It just felt like the same game, but with less. Like, obviously, so Battle.net was just gutted. Battle.net was just gone. It's obviously there, but a lot of things that can't be used anymore for copyright, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a lot of maps gone.
Because I was into like the tower defenses, like building a maze, you know, all that kind of stuff. And I know.
What was that game with the sheep where you had to run away?
Oh, the Sheep Wars.
Yeah.
Or it was like Raiders or something. Yeah.
It was so fun.
And you build farms and stuff, and you build between it. That was great.
That one was amazing. Tree Tag was great.
Oh, yeah.
There was some fun ones.
There's so many good games, and the best part about it was like it was community made, right?
Yeah.
It's like people who you're playing with made this game.
Even all the RPG ones were fun, and it'd be like RPGs of like things I didn't know or things I didn't like really care about, like the Dragon Ball Z.
Dragon Ball Z,
but they were still so fun. They were amazingly fun. I loved playing them.
I remember I remember spending 12 hours or something on one of those RPGs, right?
Honestly, when Battle.net came out when I was a kid and I started playing on it, my parents used to actually kick me out of my house and force me to go outside because I would play like, 15, 16 hours a day. I was like 11 years old or something. It was so fun.
See, my parents watched this, so I'm going to apologize first. I used to obviously like have a laptop and be up until 6 or 7 a.m. until school day, and then wake up an hour later with no sleep and be like, yeah, well, not sleep at all, and go, all right, I'm going to school, and then snooze in the class, and then go home and do the same thing. MapleStory was good at doing that for me as well.
Surprisingly, other than Warcraft 3 and League of Legends, that was kind of the only two that really did it for me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
See, I've talked about it many times on cast. I had MapleStory for many years, been there since beta. Put the grinding hours in, and as it looks like we're getting back. All right, no more. Always devolves into a MapleStory situation. I apologize, but when we last left you here in episode 1 of the Rogue Warriors and eStar melodrama, we were in with a Rogue Warriors deficit because eStar have been controlling this game so far. We talked heavily about the item spikes coming their way and how they play around these objectives. Well, one of those is coming up in 10 seconds in the Cloud Dragon. And now that Rat has sorted out the computer issues, he's going to be ready to run in with the rest of eStar, who are grouping mid and Xiaobai in with a flank.
Yeah, and that could be massive pulling. I mean, you pulled Zhong. I guess Zhong Wuxi has a QSS, so you're pretty much pulling in Wuming. Definitely feel like Xiaobai wins that 1v1 right now. And then the other core members of eStar just peeling for Rat and Wei. I mean, heck, Rat and Wei both have self-heal for themselves.
Xiaobai with a flash over the wall. No, doesn't use it. Dragon secured soul point for Rogue Warriors, but this is still going to happen. Xiaobai there, but Command attack spots him out. The re-engage from Rogue Warriors with the protect. They call the Forge God. Lay it up in the back line. They're picking them apart. Shockwave onto Rat, and he's dead. Rogue Warriors are now in a 5 versus 4, but in the death realm as Lei getting hit up by Irma. Golden in the middle of the team. Xiaobai comes on out, but he's in the middle of Rogue Warriors, and that was so well played by RW.
Wuming won that fight single-handedly. Wuming hitting that Shockwave onto Rat. You look at this composition, right? It's all about Rat and Wei. Rat goes down. Wei is zoned out of the fight, and that's how it ends up being a massive fight for Rogue Warriors. I'm actually quite surprised they're not just turning to Baron. Does look like they're going to walk up there now. Okay. We did just see Haro recall. But yeah, that's a great start coming out from Rogue Warriors. Great from Wuming, who came into this roster, didn't get a lot of playtime in spring or even this split. I think he got one game at the very start of summer, got subbed out right away once again. Yeah. Once Rogue Warriors were struggling, Rogue Warriors realized, hey, we need a bit of a change, bring Wuming in, and he's just been such a great player since coming into the roster.
Rogue Warriors do not do the Baron, though. They take it as too much of a risk and back away after clearing some of the vision. So we'll have a look again, because Holder as well was such a nuisance.
But just keep your eyes on the ball right now. Yeah, your Call for Forge got hit into the Shockwave, so you're right. Holder setting that one up perfectly for them. And even look at Wei right now. He is so far removed from the fight, especially from Holder's zoning like you talked about, to where Zhong Wuxi and Wuming are able to free hit the front line. you know, endlessly. So it sets up for that massive fight from Rogue Warriors. Rogue Warriors are on 3 Drakes right now, so going to be able to get 3 Cloud Drakes and get that Cloud Soul
Haro was in the Death Realm as well, just on that last fight. He kited it out. He flashed away from the last Q, comes out, and then destroys and survives. Haro is now 3-0-1 after that fight with the Black Cleaver. 3 items strong and has a massive CS lead over Wei. So once again, the talking point of Rogue Warriors is this jungler who's leading the team to that Cloud Soul you mentioned, to an open Baron, to control around this top side right now, and eStar having to walk in their direction as they start this off.
Yep, and I don't know if they're actually trying to start a fight or just fade out Xiaobai's TP.
Going down quick.
All ultimates are still up for the side of Rogue Warriors, so they could look for a fight.
Teleport going to be used. Lei is taking their time. Baron's just gone. Solar Flare into the back of the pit, but 5 versus 5. I'm not sure how it's going to go. Hero's entrance into Xiaoxi's position, but it's only onto Holder, who's absorbing the damage. The Fate's Call wants to nail him, and Xiaoxi gets no one while they're onto Haro, who's surviving for so long. Wei gets taken down. This jungler again with the Shockwave bringing it through. Rat with the carry, though, needs to get Ren City, but out Rogue Warriors will go, departing from the fight. And Rogue Warriors take all.
And you just said Haro playing that fight extremely well.
Oh,
Great
no,
engage
it's not
overall.
done. It's Rogue Warriors. You know how they play. Wuji going forward with Lethal Pepper activated. Holder running into a rat. And against the wall. Nailed with a searing charge. He'll survive for now. But more kills on the board. The blood continues to spill.
And they're going to be able to pick... Oh, God. They're actually still going.
Frank the Tank. Look at this searing charge. He wants this so badly.
He almost has ult. Haro almost has ult. That's what they're waiting for.
Collateral damage. Yes, it does. Wow.
And this is why we always say, if you're an LPL fan, you're a Rogue Warriors fan, because they are the stereotypical, always walk forward team that's so fun to watch. And finding a bunch of kills, getting the Baron, we'll go back to where it starts with Lei just kind of trying to zone people off. Xiaoxi goes in. They hold the Mordekaiser at arm's distance. Wuming and Haro running forward. Wei coming with a massive flank right now. Wuming flashes away. I am so surprised Haro lives here. Massive burst coming out, pretty much winning and surviving a 1v2. A bit of a misplay from Irma walking away, just assuming that Wei would win that as well. Great fight.
Wei had ult, but he thought, oh, I'm going to kill Haro.
I mean, I could understand how he thought that too, right?
Yeah.
He comes in full HP. Haro's already half. Irma's right next to him.
True Grit saving lives as well, by the way.
Yep, True Grit saving lives. The W also extremely impactful.
Yeah. Well, from talking up eStar in the early game to talking up Rogue Warriors, that's where we are with the Cloud Soul in 40 seconds.
Yep, and I also, going back to items, I was curious once we saw Wuming on 2 items where he would go next, because it's like, okay, eStar don't actually have a lot of MR, so you don't expect the Void Staff. Something like Oblivion Orb would be kind of weird right now. You don't really need a Morello's.
Hang on, Chains Corruption being used. Death Realm is available, but Xiaobai pulls in Zhang Wuji, who cleanses immediately. And back to full health with the lifesteal. Xiaobai's just dead, and so will this turret. With Cloud Soul coming up, that's not great. Rogue Warriors Wuming gets caught out, but he cleanses away for the turnaround with Shockwave. Xiaoxi goes to half health, but eStars have another plan on their mind. They want to run it down mid while this trade happens bot side.
And if you end up losing 1 tower as Rogue Warriors, I don't think it's too massive. Just have 1 or 2 members recall. You can send 1 member to take Dragon and get 1-for-1 in the bot lane. And that looks like what's going to pan out.
Cool. Chongwuji does this so fast with the Baron buff as well. Cloud Soul activated. Rogue Warriors have the tools. You talked in Pick and Ban how these 5v5s would turn out, how these 3 item spikes would turn out. Rogue Warriors are sitting on that right now, and they look stronger than ever.
And that's what we're on. We're on the 3 item spike. Sure, Wuming hasn't finished the Death Cap yet, but his build was also extremely expensive, going Death Cap, Spellbinder, and Ludens, one of the most expensive builds you can go.
Yeah.
Right now, Haro on 3 items, Holder on 2 and some components, but still, the members of Rogue Warriors looking very strong right now. And I mean, eStar need to find a pick, it feels like. Use that global from Irma, catch someone off in the side lane, but for Rogue Warriors, you don't want anyone in the side lane. You send Holder to answer a wave, potentially send Wuming to answer a wave if it comes close enough near your base, then just continuously go for these ARAMs, stay as 5, because you know that's where you're always going to win.
Because let's reiterate, kiting ultra late game is what you also mentioned in that Pick and Ban, where eStar need to get that space between them. But it seems so hard.
But we did mention this game as well, though. Their comp is extremely close range.
Yeah.
So kiting out a comp that has longer range than you, even Zhang Wuji with the ultimate, Lei with all the engage, the Call of the Forge God.
Just be better is what they have to be.
You know, another thing actually is we haven't really seen Wei use his ultimate almost at all this game. Not only in that one circumstance, it also comes down to when they locked down Rat in the fight before.
I guess he's been so far ahead, but then we saw that last fight where he got taken down before he could use it. He's now 2 levels behind, so surely you'll see it coming up in this next fight. If we get that next fight, because it's Cloud Soul into Elder now, up on the board, 1:30 till the next Baron. Rogue Warriors have taken topside and they've broken the map.
Sorry to interrupt you. I just want to highlight that 20-minute mark where we see Rat having 2 items to 1. Of course, remember, Jung Woozi was sitting on the QSS. And that was really eStar's time to break ahead. And that's when we started to see them flounder in these fights.
Yeah.
Just execution errors, too. Wasn't down to decision-making, wasn't down to the calls. We saw the fights come to Dragon, and they were never able to find the engages they wanted. And that really is that one in bot side where Rat just got exploded right away.
We saw the damage coming out of Rat in that mid-game, to reiterate on that, because we saw, remember that mid-lane play looked really confident from Rat, from Way, and we're like, oh man, eStars are going to take over this mid-game. And then the bottom lane play, and it was like, well, Rogue Warriors really outplayed that, but also eStar never got the advantage of finding Jung Woozi or Wooming. The teleport's been used by Irma. They are setting up to get position through mid before the Baron.
Wooming is massive right now. Finally picked up the Rabadons. Even has the upgraded version of it. I'd be so interested to see how much AP he has. And we're finally starting to see MR come out for Xiao Bai. So you know Wooming is still going to hit like a truck onto all of the members of eStar.
Yeah, is it too late? Well, at this point with the Rabadabadons. What is the upgrade of Rabadons called?
I have no idea.
Yeah, it's called Rabadabadons.
I call it the upgraded Rabadons. And there we go.
Woglets.
He has 655 AP right now.
Just used the Sorcerer's Pot and has 100 stacks in his Sorcerer's Stone. Sorry, we made a Harry Potter reference yesterday.
I was so confused. I'm like, what?
What's the item called again, Lyrics?
Spellbinder.
Spellbinders. I should never have called it Sorcerer's Stone. It confused me, but eStar, last chance it feels. Let's start the Baron.
Yeah, and Holder right now has called the Forge God. They can find this engage.
Comes out immediately. Remember, Xiaobai has his own ulti, so Holder can't send it right on back. But in the death realm, he's been knocked up at half health. Rogue Warriors are not going forward. Fate's call from Xiaoxi, who gets obliterated himself. Jung Woozi kites it back, though. But Irma, with the shield of Duran and Rat free firing as he flashes away, was eStar's chance. But Rogue Warriors are healthy once again. How did no one die in that amazing combo?
And this is what we talked about with Rogue Warriors draft once it got to this point. It was just too strong. And even starting that fight off, Xiaobai couldn't 1v1 Holder in the Death Realm, setting up for Rogue Warriors to win that massive fight and, you know, making that long march to playoffs, Hysterics.
The long march to playoffs is getting shorter by the game. Game 1's going to be knocked on down in 35 minutes. Holder doesn't die. And Rogue Warriors games continue to entertain us all, every single time.
And remember, we highlighted the highest kills per game. This game, once again, highlighting why. 17-5, and let's remember, eStar were controlling this game for an extreme long time. For about 15 to 20 minutes of this game. 20 minutes was when we highlighted that point where eStars would win. Suddenly, out of nowhere, Rogue Warriors find one